You know, I talk a lot about how politics get forced on people who enjoy different forms of escapism, whether it's video games, comic books, reading, honestly, trading card games. It doesn't matter. We, as a fandom of whatever that might be, often react very negatively to having political ideologies forced on us. You only need to look at the sales of Marvel, the shrinking trading card game world, and what's happening in the board game industry to see very real-world examples of people getting woke and going broke. People use these things to get away from politics, amongst other things. The grind of daily life, maybe they've got a job that's killing them, or their kids are always screaming, and they just want to escape to watch a half hour of, in this case, SportsCenter. And we know that ESPN for the past year or two has been slowly but surely injecting more and more politics into their show. We saw this with a lot of the hot takes from Max Kellerman. We saw Jamel Hill and her firing, rehiring, and then eventual leaving from the show. People don't want politics in their sports. They don't want it in their video games. They don't want it in their comic books. Well, unnatural politics, we should say. We don't want pandering, okay? And it's so obvious when you look at the NFL ratings last year, just when you look at what happened after all the kneeling stuff. America and the world basically stood up and said, look, you're all multimillionaires. If you want to worry about making change, you literally have more power than everybody watching you. We don't want to see you kneeling on the field. Go take some of that $50 million you have and go help out in Chicago. Go back to your hometown and build a rec center. Go help with some after-school programs. Be the change you want to see. Kneeling is like the literal definition of it. There's no better metaphor than doing nothing. And watching a bunch of rich, entitled athletes do it just made a lot of people turn off the television last year. And this past week, we saw ESPN again talking about politics, setting up a trap for Tiger Woods, and they didn't like his answer. Let's take a look.
I think a lot of people, especially people of color, immigrants, feel threatened by him, by his policies. He's thrown himself into sports debates in terms of race with LeBron James, with the anthem. What do you say to people who might find it interesting that you have, I guess, a friendly relationship with him?
That's bait.
Well, he's the president of the United States, and you have to respect the office. And no matter who's in the office, you may dislike personality or the politics, but we all must respect the office.
What's wrong with that answer, you might be asking? Well, he didn't bash Donald Trump. Do you notice how the reporter was basically saying, well, you as a black man are friends with Donald Trump. Answer for yourself. That's basically the question that loser was asking. I mean, who cares? This is the whole guilt by association thing. And why do reporters do this? Why do they ask these questions? Well, it's because they use athletes, in this case, and in many cases this year, particularly black ones, as megaphones to project their own ideology. Do you think a lot of LeBron James fans cared what his opinions were on politics? No. The reporters are asking these questions to get a specific response that they can then project on everyone to push their ideology, and people are sick of it. And let me be clear. Tiger Woods fans, I guarantee you, loved this answer. It doesn't matter whether you voted, who you voted for. This is the answer I want from my athletes. Look, you don't know if Tiger Woods has a particular opinion about certain policies. We don't want to know. We want to know what's going on with this golf game. This is a perfect answer, but not good enough for sports media.
You must respect the office, therefore that confers respect to the occupant. Tiger, is that what you're saying? If that's what you're saying, that is a stupid comment. I don't even know if he believes that that's what he's saying.
First of all, we don't know what Tiger Woods believes. He's Camblinasian. He's not black. When he got arrested, he was black.
So let me translate these two absolute idiots' answers, okay? Max Kellerman says, I don't like your answer, so it's stupid. That is one of the absolute lowest IQ answers I've ever heard. I've had better debates with a toddler. Okay? I don't like your answer. That is stupid. And what does brainiac Stephen A. Smith follow up with? And by the way, I love Stephen A. Smith's coverage on sports. He follows up with, well, he ain't black. I disagree with him, so he ain't black. He's not black enough for me. Why do black folk do that? I don't understand. It's like when all you see is race, apparently that must be how you answer questions. I don't disavow Max Kellerman's whiteness. I disavow his low intellect, okay, and his shitty shill attack on Tiger Woods. Look, I guarantee you Tiger Woods would love to not be answering these questions, but you're the one sticking a microphone in their face and forcing them to ask it or answer it. So if you don't like their answer, tough cookies, Max Kellerman. Let's see. I wonder how things are going over at ESPN, by the way, now that they've gotten so political, by the way. According to a report back in June, after letting go of two of their most political people with Jamel Hill and Michael Smith, who ran a show that I used to really watch, by the way. I liked that show for a while. Viewers are responding to the 6 p.m. Sports Center with the program on track for 4 consecutive months year-over-year viewership growth. The 6 p.m. Sports Center has been keen on delivering fans up-to-the-minute news, previews, and analysis of the night. So, sports. This is from their actual press release, by the way. Okay, from ESPN's actual press release. First, congrats to Steve Steele and Kevin Negandhi on their sterling job of resulting in the ratings win. It turns out if you give sports fans fans sports and leave out left-wing politics, viewers respond favorably. By the way, that line is anecdotal against the press release. That wasn't in their press release. Again, it's not even left-wing or right-wing. See, I wish that when people cover this, they wouldn't just make it about left-wing. It's any politics. Like if ESPN was talking about how much they loved Trump, I wouldn't like that either. I'm watching to see top 10 plays. I'm watching to see what the highlights were. I'm watching to see what's going on with injury updates. I'm working on my fantasy team. I literally don't care at all. If I want to watch, politics, I'll change the station, right? It's amazing to see ESPN dunking on Jamel Hill and Michael Smith like this. Today's Hollywood Reporter, which features an article about the battle for the soul of ESPN Woke Center versus traditional sports, says each of them have $10 million contract at the network. Now, this is the second press release ESPN has sent out trumpeting how much better their ratings their flagship show is and are doing since they fired Jamel Hill and Michael Smith off Woke Center. Here we have another story. ESPN losing 500,000 subscribers in April. This is back in May 2018. Back in April of 2018, they had 3 rounds of layoffs last year. One in April, 100 anchors laid off. They had a third round in November. They had 150 more in November getting laid off. Now, they have 8,000 employees, but you're talking about a company that is not growing, obviously. And I wonder why. I mean, do you think maybe injecting your politics might have something to do with it? And by the way, you can both eat a dick, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, for the comments you made about Tiger Woods. And the other big story of the day is that Louis C.K. returned to the comedy tour with an unannounced show last night, and Twitter lost its mind. Of course, not in a good way, because you can't ever just apologize for something, move on with your life. You must be unpersoned. You must suffer for life. It's not enough that he was publicly humiliated. His movie was removed. Probably will never work again in comedy. He's not allowed to work again at all. If you look at some of these comments, you'll see what I mean. You have Louis C.K. making an unannounced appearance at a New York City comedy club before they're performing there for the first time since his misconduct. Is it really accurate to say it's accusations at this point? That's probably fair. He did admit it. If you're at a comedy club or music venue and celebrity accused of harassment or assault like Louis C.K. shows up for a surprise performance, it's your ethical duty to leave walk out, punish him. What about if it's a woman? What if it was Asia Argento and the business that hosted him by removing your patronage? No, yeah, that's right. Forever he must always suffer for his bad behavior. There's no forgiving anybody. Louis C.K. appeared at a comedy gig yesterday. It was inevitable, but before he did, at the very, very minimum, apologize for his misconduct. Doesn't excuse the actions, it never will. An apology is at least a start, and it should be made. Just a tip to you-know-who in Ireland. Separate the art and the artist. I didn't buy with Woody Allen, Mark Wahlberg, Chris Brown, R. Kelly, or Aziz Ansari. Okay, Louis C.K. being banished from stand-up comedy wasn't some kind of petty punishment. It was a fucking workspace safety issue. Look, based on what I know of Louis C.K.'s whole misconduct thing, I mean, I'm not going to go through it, but I mean, it's kind of sad. But he apologized. There are no criminal charges. You have every right to share your opinion. You have every right to not go to that event. But in my opinion, when somebody makes an apology, you have to accept it and have good faith. You can't hold something against somebody for their entire life. People can change. Clearly, the people that accused him or outed him for this have forgiven him, as I don't think they're suing him. There's no criminal charges being pressed that I know of. So why can't the guy work? What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just, I don't know, move back in with his parents? This guy's a comedian. Don't like him, don't see it. I personally probably won't pay to see him, but it's not because he fucked up in the past. Who hasn't done that? I don't think what he's done is so horrendous. But of course, if you have a blue check mark on Twitter, this man is literally Hitler and should be unpersoned forever. We'll see how long it takes for Asia Argento to get another job. That's all for today. I thank you for all of your show ideas and suggestions on Twitter. If you ever want to participate in that discussion, make sure you follow me at The Quartering on Twitter. I always ask everyone what to cover each morning, and I usually get my stories from there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.